Well, when we ran into each other on Friday at the Cathedral Park Jazz Festival, I was surprised to see you in a New Orleans style brass band.
Well, that was lots of fun.
Yeah.
I'm really glad I got to do that. I'm old friends with Jeff Evans, the drummer and leader of the band, and we went to college together at Mount Hood in 1977, I think. And I ran into him by happenstance. They were playing a gig at the Barley Mill, and Brent Malmquist is their regular guitar player. And they both said to me, Brent can't make the Cathedral Park thing. Can you sub for us? And sure, sign me up. So, yeah, that was really, really fun.
Did you just wing it? Did you get a chance to rehearse with him or anything?
I did. I had one rehearsal
that's good.
the night before. Yeah, and it was it was 6 tunes, so it wasn't that hard.
Well, it is not unheard of to have an electric guitar player with a New Orleans style brass band, because the Dirty Dozen does that.
Yeah, sure.
And so it looked like you were having fun.
Oh, I really enjoyed it, and the sousaphone bass. I mean, there's something about that feel.
I was going to ask you about that. Have you ever played with along with a sousaphone before?
That is the first time I've been in a band with a
see that? You can still have a first.
Oh yeah, there's plenty left to discover.
That's good. Well, musicians know who you are and know the Doolin guitars, but perhaps the public doesn't really know that you don't make Doolin guitars anymore.
Yeah, that's fairly recent. Maybe 2-3 years that I've retired from full-time lutherie.
Why did you do that?
Well, I hit the lutherie thing really hard for about 17 years. It was more than full-time, and it was great. And I had some good success with it, and I enjoyed it, and got to meet a lot of great people and through it and all of that. But I literally woke up one morning and realized I wasn't a musician anymore.
Wow.
Because I was putting all of my time into that. And, in my heart of hearts, all I ever wanted to do was play my guitar, So I just realized that it was time to hang that up. And moreover, it had kind of gotten to be a job. I'd done everything that I set out to do in lutherie in terms of the kinds of instruments that I wanted to build and wanted to design. And it was getting to be more, kind of repetitive. Kind of, well, okay, another OM for so-and-so, and another jumbo for so-and-so, and, well, I guess I'll make one more dreadnought. And,
Now, were most of your guitars custom made?
Yes, almost every single one was directly for an individual.
Wow.
And out of 17 years, I had count them two, who didn't like the guitar and sent it back. Jeez. And I have first right of first refusal return policy on everything. So those were the 2 guitars that I ever sold through a store.
What was that process like? I mean, would musicians that you didn't know come to you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I should add for context. Again, my entire lutherie career, I lived in Portland in the Southeast. In all of that time, I have 2 customers in Portland. Okay, and I think I might have maybe one more in Oregon. So you saturate your local market very quickly, and so everybody has to think of themselves as international, really. So my guitars are strewn all over the country. I have more guitars in Brazil than I have in Oregon.
Really? Wow. So would there be verbal contact with you? Conversations
largely it started with the website. So and I was very fortunate in that I had been a software engineer briefly in the early '90s, and through that I was a webmaster briefly for that same company. So I knew how to write a website. Right about '95 was when I started. When I really hung out my shingle for building guitars, and that was just about the time that everybody got a computer and got online. And I was one of the first guitar makers, small individual guitar makers, with a decent website. And that was huge for advertising purposes. And then put that together with, I would write for online columns, ask the luthier, answer questions, and run small business card size magazine ads, acoustic guitar, and
how did you find guitarists' ability to communicate what they wanted?
Well, now mind you, I was building largely flat top steel string guitars.
Yeah.
And so for the fingerstyle American fingerstyle market.
Right.
There's a lot of information online about that, and so people generally, by the time by the time they actually called me, because they'd been through my site, they'd seen everything that I do. By the time they actually called me, they knew what they wanted. You know, pretty much down to the woods, neck width, string spacing, scale length, all that stuff. They would almost always have that all worked out, which was okay. You know, I kind of liked it better when somebody called up and said, you know, I just want a, you know, a bright, sparkly fingerstyle sound. Just make that for me. You know? And I'd say yes, that piece of wood and that piece of wood.
So your two,
so that was a little more creative.
Your two guitarists in Portland were John Stoll and who else?
Travis Adams. He's a engineer for the Army Corps of Engineers. Actually works on the big dams out there.
Wow.
Not a professional player. And I should hasten to add, too, very, very few of my guitar clients are professional players. You know, for the most part, well, you know, let's be honest, they were expensive guitars. You know, my base price was $6,000.
There you go.
So, you know, unfortunately, professional musicians couldn't afford them for the most part. I know it's a real irony, and it's sad, and I would, at my discretion, would make deals for players whose playing I respected. You know, when I get a call from some you know young rock star saying, "Hey, give me a guitar, I'm going to make you famous."
Yeah.
Go get somebody else to give you a guitar.
I wonder how many calls David Monette gets like that.
It must be endless.
Well, okay, so you're not making. Well, if somebody really begged you to make a guitar for them, do you think you would?
Oh man, it would be pulling teeth.
Okay.
I'm building. I'm still. I mean, I still have a shop. I still have all my wood and tools and all that. I'm building a very few guitars, you know, one or two a year.
Wow.
For either myself or my wife, who was my first client, incidentally.
Really?
Nancy Conishke. She's a professional, traditional Irish musician, singer, and guitarist. So, you know, I'm making the occasional guitar, and as of this year, I've switched over to playing 7-string guitar.
Really?
Which is a wonderful new adventure.
Did Paul Chasman talk you into that?
No, he didn't. But
he was famous for that.
But and 8-string.
And 8-string, yes, yeah.
No, I stumbled on one. I was aware of them, but I stumbled on one down at Portland Music. It was hanging on the wall for about 3 years down there, and I'd sort of glare at it when I'd go in, you know, to buy a set of strings or something, because I just didn't want to go there, you know. And then when I finally sat down and actually tried it, was like, oh my God, this is the bomb, right? This is the greatest thing ever. So I had to switch over, and so consequently, I'm having to make myself a few 7-strings that are just not available. You know, just something that I want that I can't just go out and buy.
So now that you're not full-time production, who are you playing with?
I'm playing with all kinds of people. I'm having so much fun, I tell you. Well, let me run down my calendar for
there you
a
go.
couple of weeks, and it'll pretty much hit
Your
everybody.
busy professional calendar.
Yes. Surprisingly, it's amazing. Well, tomorrow night, Tuesday night, the 23rd, I'm playing with Eddie Parenti as a duo. We call the duo 7 and 7 because he plays 7-string violin and I play 7-string guitar. And it's pretty amazing because he goes down, well, a half step shy of the range of the 7-string guitar, so we can trade off on bass lines. I mean, imagine trading off on bass lines with a violinist.
Amazing. And where is that going to be?
Oh, that's at the Grant House, which is up there on the strip right off of Mill Plain. A little restaurant, very nice restaurant. We play 6 to 8.
And what else?
We also play as a trio, incidentally, with Al Martin on percussion.
Excellent.
Then the Picnic House, which is Friday the 26th, with the Women with Standards. Originally they were going to call it Women with Questionable Standards, and they decided to tone that down a little bit. Lori Boone and Lyra Griffiths. Two wonderful jazz singers, and they sort of do a tag team thing, and I'm their accompanist. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of accompanying vocalists in duo situations, which again the 7-string is ideal for with the extended range.
What else?
Chris Baum Project at the Lodge the next night, Saturday night. That's a big R&B band, 3 horns, full rhythm section. Chris and I actually started Soul Vaccination back in '95.
Wow.
And I was their guitar player for the first 10 years.
Yeah.
And since then, Chris moved away and he came back and he started up this new thing. And it's kind of similar, but you know, Chris Chris's forte is Stevie Wonder tunes. He's got the voice for that.
Did you get to see Chester Thompson when he was in
I did.
All right. How was that?
Yeah, I saw him the first time when he was here with Bruce Conti.
Yeah.
And I went to that clinic. Oh, man, that guy is nuclear energy behind the keyboard. It's just astonishing. Well, anyway, so that's that one. And then the following Sunday, the 28th, I'm with Mitzi Zilka at Marino Adriatic Cafe. Mitzi is another of the singers that I play a duo with. I've actually played with Mitzi for must be about 11 years now. So she was kind of my entree into that whole thing. Lori and Laura, the women with standards, are both students of hers. So gigs beget gigs.
Well, I guess if we want to hear Doolin guitars, we're either going to have to listen to you, your wife, or John Stoll.
That's right.
Well, you ever think you might get back into production?
No.
Okay.
No. I think I'm done.
Wow.
And I feel that more and more every time I go out there to make myself something else. It's like, I'd rather be in here in my studio.
Well, it was a great run, but we're awful glad you're happy.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.